You're tuned in to The Keetria Show and listening to SOB, Style of Business, the podcast with your host, Keetria. We aim to highlight the ongoing trek of entrepreneurs and business owners from around the globe, featuring stories that recount their struggles, experiences, and inevitable road to success and self-fulfillment. Welcome to SOB.
This podcast is being brought to you by my inspiring new book titled Courage is a Muscle, Using Heart to Power Your Entrepreneurial Dreams. You can grab your copy today on Amazon.
What's up, y'all? Thanks so much for tuning in and checking out another hot episode of SOB, Style of Business, the podcast. This is your host, Keetria. Appreciate you guys joining with us today. And we have another wonderful guest that is chatting with us about his career, giving us the latest scoop on the moves that he's making and how things are going with him in regards to the entertainment industry, the voiceover work that he's doing, the characters that he's creating, and just, you know, the entrepreneurial and creative lifestyle in general. I'm chatting with Smurf Brown. Smurf Brown is a voiceover actor, and he's also a director, and, you know, he's just doing his thing. So we're happy to have him on. Smurf, drop that introduction for us. And I tell you what, let's drop your normal introduction and give us a little bit of what you got in regards to the voiceover. I want to hear Cleveland. Give me Cleveland today.
Thank you for having me on the show. I'm so happy to be a part of this podcast.
All right.
What's up, y'all? I'm Smurf Brown. Thank you for having me. Looking forward to our interview.
All right. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it as well. And I know you and I have chatted and interviewed in the past. And, you know, I was just trying to find like a good way to bring you in as far as the introduction. It's like, I don't know. I want you give it to us. I mean, you give us that intro and let us know what you got, because, you know, I know what you're doing in regards to, like, a lot of people think that voiceover is just for like people who can do, cartoon voices and things like that. But you're so talented and there's so many things that you're involved with and your career is really taking off. So I really want you to just give us a little background of who you are and what you're doing for those who are not familiar. And let's get into the interview. I think it's going to be some great stuff today.
Cool. So I'm Smurf Brown. I'm a voice actor. I've been doing some voice acting since, I want to say 2018. I want to say maybe around like September-ish. And the way I was discovered was actually I had a podcast with my line brother and my best friend. And on that podcast, it was called Cream of the Crop Podcast. And we had a lot of little improv segments on there. And I think it was like 1 or 2 episodes where we were just doing random voices, because we would speak about a topic and then we would randomly burst out into like an improv little skit for like 15 to 20 seconds. And for some of those, we would do different voices and just different characters just on the fly.
Yeah.
And there was a guy out in Georgia that heard the podcast, and it was this guy named Dre. He owns a company called The Ignorant Noodle.
Okay.
And he was working on a cartoon for kids called The Little Noodlers, and it's supposed to teach young Black kids how to deal with depression, anxiety, bullying, and just how to maneuver through a lot of the things in the community that we don't really speak up about, at least not until probably recently, a couple of years ago, where people really kind of started speaking out about these things. So he reached out to us, and he was like, hey, that Smurf guy, he has a really interesting voice, and I need somebody to play a kid. And I hope he doesn't take it as like disrespect, but he has a perfect voice for a kid, which, I mean, I don't have like a super deep voice at all.
Right.
And so he reached out to me and he sent me the script and everything. And I went and recorded the first episode, and it was a lot of fun. And it was just one of those things where, especially being like in your 20s and you're trying to figure out, okay, who are you really still? And like, what is it you're supposed to be doing? And when I did the episode, like something just clicked to me. It's like the light bulb went off, and it's just like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, because this is a lot of fun. I really enjoy this. So I sent the audio back to him, and he liked it. He's just like, And it made me nervous at first because he's like, I hope you can act. I was like, I hope so too.
Right. Get up there.
The only acting I had done prior to that was just like elementary school plays. And I think at this point I was like 25 or 26 years old. And so that's like, a good span of time, like from doing any acting, any looking at lines. But I take pride in like, I watched a lot of like cartoons and shows. So
right, exactly, yeah.
I just tried to tap into that, and he liked it. He just sent more and more scripts, and then from there I was just like, okay, I need to see how I can do more of this. So I started researching. I started looking into, who are like the top voice actors. What does voiceover and voice acting entail all the way? My girlfriend, we had just started dating at the time, and she like heard the podcast as well, and she's like, I think you'll be really good at this. You need to go full force with it. And I think probably a month or two after I recorded for Dre and the Ignorant Noodle, there was an audition for this guy in Atlanta, another person in Atlanta, Sterling Cartoons, and he's really, really talented. He's a manga artist, and if you don't know what a manga is, it's like a Japanese style comic.
Yeah.
And so most mangas are turned into anime. So anime is like the Japanese style cartoon. So he writes his own comics and stories. He draws, he animates, and he had one story that he was auditioning for called The Fantastic Tale of Folklore. And I auditioned for all three of the main, quote unquote, main characters, the lead and then like the two side main characters in a sense. And without having like a lot of acting stuff, I was like, okay, it'd be really cool if I can get the side characters, like the best friend or like, the boss of like the main guy. And he reached back out to me from the auditions I sent him. He was like, I want you to play the lead. And I was just like, what?
Get the lead character,
and I was
right.
so nervous. Yeah, I was so nervous because I was like, I mean, I've done one thing,
right.
everything
Something new.
Prior to that was fourth grade, playing a chef in a fourth grade play. And this is like 15, 16, whatever many years later. And you want me to play the lead role of this show?
New opportunities,
and I was so nervous. And I was talking to my girlfriend about it, and I was like, I don't know if I can do this. This is huge. And she told me, you better not back out of this. You better do this. This is what you're supposed to do. I see greatness in you, and you're going to do it. I was like, okay. And she went with me to the studio to like record the first episode for Fantastic Tale of Folklore because I was so nervous. I was so nervous.
You're so nervous, but you ended up pulling it off, right?
Yeah, we did. We recorded a lot of episodes of it. We actually just recorded a promo that's out now. It's actually on my Instagram. It's on his Instagram as well, for the volume 1 of the manga. And so he had, I played the character Chew. And so he had Chew, Neji, and Don Kappa, which are the three main characters, had all of us record our lines as a promo for the manga to get people to go and, check out the story, check out the manga. And it got a lot of traction, a lot of attention. There were some large YouTube anime reviewers that actually reviewed the manga, and they really, really enjoyed it and liked the story, which is good attention on the show when it's done being animated and coming out. So, I'm happy that my girlfriend actually went with me. Right. Because if not, I probably would have let the nerves get the best of me. But sometimes, I mean, it's a life lesson. You just have to like push through nerves and just do it. And at worst, he probably would have redirected me on some things. But it worked out, and it's just taking a chance on yourself. So after that was like another big role for me, and it happened pretty quickly because it was within the same year. And I think a lot of people that go after this career, it takes time just getting a role.
Yeah.
And it's a blessing how it kind of fell into my lap, and just going, just going and doing it and going after it and just making it happen. So after that, just taking more and more classes, doing more auditions, started working with this group that's based out in Utah called Cerebral Cinema, which they do like audio dramas and like audio books. But the way they do the audio books is like an old time radio like an old time radio show. So each character has a different person playing them versus having one person narrate the entire story. So it's really like like a movie for your ears, a movie for your mind, but it's a book.
Exactly.
And so I did different roles with them. I worked with this guy named Joel Nacita out in UK, and he had a podcast called That Love Podcast, and it's kind of like an anthology series. So there's different stories, but it's all under the same umbrella. And it's like kind of like rom-com stories. So I had the opportunity to play multiple characters for that podcast, and got to do some directing with him.
Yeah, and you know what, Smurf, I want to cut you off because you mentioned something earlier that I really want you to go in and touch on before we get any further, because I don't want to exclude this. I think this is important. You mentioned that you just kind of putting yourself in a position to eat, like even with, through the fear, you ended up having a support system to where it worked out, and that opened up the door for more opportunities. Like, what sort of, I guess, aside from you just making sure that you were prepared on your end, going over the script and practicing, like, was there any other pressure, like from your part? Like how much of talking yourself into really stepping into this new opportunity did you have to do? Or was it just your girlfriend just like, no, we doing this regardless, like give us a feel for that, because I think a lot of people, we end up letting the fear get the best of us, and we never know what's on the other side. We don't know what the potential is because we didn't even try. But like, give us a little bit of how you were able to step beyond your initial fear and not really having the experience, to really perform at the level that you thought was sufficient. But you did a good job anyway,
Yeah. It was definitely having her there and talking me through it. Same thing with my brother. My parents have been very, very supportive. My parents, they, paid for me to go through college. I mean, I got a bachelor's degree in finance, and then you tell them, a few years after you graduate, hey, I want to do this voice acting.
I already knew where you were going.
But they were very supportive. Like they've always been very supportive. And I mean, my parents were like, hey, once you get your degree, I mean, you're kind of on your own. You do what you want to do, but you have your degree to fall back on if anything were to happen. So they were in full support because they knew growing up, like, I was a child that was goofing around, clowning around, trying to sound like an old dude, even though I'm like 13. I'm trying to sound like a 65-year-old man or whatever voice, like, or character I had in my head. So I think they saw that in me, and they were very supportive, especially when they started hearing the stuff I was doing. Once they heard the audio clips and they heard the voices and they heard the acting and pulling the different emotions out. They were very supportive, and just other than that, just praying, honestly, because prior to that, I mean, I was working in finance, but it wasn't like, it was cool. It was paying the bills and everything, but it wasn't fulfilling.
Yeah.
So I was always praying, like, hey, God, what do you want me to do? Whatever it is you want me to do, like, I'll do it. I'm just going to listen to you. Just give me the discernment to know. And, I mean, I was praying for that for, I don't know how long. And then that kind of fell into my lap, and it felt right. So, with the support system I had, the people around me, the people that are telling me, like, hey, like, you're good at this. Don't psych yourself out. You're overthinking it. And just thinking to myself and praying and just trying to listen to God. And he's telling me, like, you need to at least take a chance and do it. Like, don't quit before you even try. what's the worst that can happen? If you're not good, then okay, but at least you tried. But I would hate to not do it and not know what could have happened just because of nervousness or being scared. Like you don't know what could happen. It could be really great or it could be bad, but it's 9 times out of 10 it's never as bad as you think. And it's just trying not to listen to that anxiety, because there will be things in your way, people in your way, or any type of obstacles to try to keep you from what you're supposed to be doing. So it's just more so of really trying to listen to, the positive voice and just giving it a shot, because I mean, it's not like it's not going to kill you to try. It's not going to kill you to try, and just to see how it goes. Like, taking a chance.
Did you now? And another thing that you mentioned, when you talk about voiceover, and just being a voice actor, like I know it confuses some people because, a lot of people feel like it's, it's similar to acting, but it's different. To me, it sounds like it'd be more pressure, because you got to make sure you're getting the, you got to put your emotions in the vocal, aspect of things and what you're trying to capture within those different characters. But like, how much pressure is that? Like, and explain to us specifically the difference between, like, if there's some input or insight that you have, the difference between like a voiceover actor and a cartoonist or somebody, you know what I mean? Like the animated voiceover actors, like, and then, like I said, just kind of giving us your take on how difficult. Yeah. Just like the run of what you experienced.
So the one thing for voiceover is it's so many different things under that umbrella, because you could be doing radio promo and there's a certain amount of energy and emotion you have to convey with that. Just the simple ways that you say certain words, certain inflections, just to get people to listen into a commercial. Same thing with just like commercial voiceover or trailers. You have like narration for books, you have audio books, you have corporate e-learning. If you've ever taken like corporate training, they have a little voiceover for like the HR diversity, little courses that they have. And then you have video games and you have animation. A lot of people don't know, I would say, that as far as conveying the emotion, you don't have the camera on you to show body language. So you have to convey that all through your voice.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So sadness, anger, happiness, at the end of the day, it's all acting. It's all acting, and you just have to be able to make that character believable, and you have to make that character entertaining and engaging, and something that captivates the audience and where they want to listen in. Whether that's for a story, animation, video games, or even for commercial and trailers and promos, there's still a character that you're playing that you have to entice people enough to get them to listen to what it is that you're saying and the emotions you're trying to convey to whatever it is you're selling, whether it's a product, a story, a personality, whatever it is. And so it's just being able to convey that through your voice without, making an angry face, or people being able to see you're throwing your hands up, or whatever the case is. So it's just knowing how to convey that and changing like volumes and pitch and inflections and the way you say certain things to bring about intensity and how it comes across, all just with your voice. So that can be the difficult thing. And there's just so many different ways to show anger, especially on the character. And I've had the, blessings with a lot of the projects I've worked on to have freedom to kind of explore that on my own and figure out, how do I want this character to be angry? How do I want them to portray anger? Like, are they somebody that yells, and somebody that's like a quiet intensity, whatever the case may be. Yeah. And also, while you are not on camera and nobody can see what you're doing, to get a lot of those emotions, you are being very physical in the booth. You may be, changing your face a certain way, or you may be throwing your hands up, or you may be jumping around, whatever
you
need to do to get that emotion out. I mean, I've done it. I've thrown my hands up or tried to twist my face a certain way or say something a certain way or think about something that will make me mad so that comes across in my voice, just to make the character stand out and really have that emotion very convincing and believable. So
it's still you still have to put like
still a lot of
work. Yeah, I was just about to ask you like how much training goes into that, like as far as, because I know that there's rehearsals and things like that, but like what is your take on the actual voiceover training? Because one of the things that I've noticed about voiceover work in particular is like a lot of times you have amateur voiceover actors, and then you also have your professional network of voiceover actors. And when it comes to like what I've noticed is a lot of the people who've become professionals, they take these lessons. They go through this specific training. Like, is that something that you use to kind of develop your craft when it comes to voiceover? Is that, or you just kind of naturally positions, I don't even know what the word is, but like, because sometimes, if you're a natural, you're a natural, sometimes, hey, you could use the training or you could use some additional lessons, but at the end of the day, if you're already gifted in it, but that's one thing, like I said, and it may not be with what you're doing, because we know like you do more of like the animation and things like that, but when it comes to like the audio books and stuff like that, like, is that something that is recommended?
I would say, I think there's people they're going to have like natural talent for anything. I don't know if I would necessarily say that for me. I think it goes into personality and just how imaginative you are. But I also, like, I work at it. Yeah. Like, I'm thinking of voices every day. So I don't know how much of it is. I've really never really thought of it, to be honest. I just work at it because I love it and it's fun, and so I'm doing it all the time. So I don't know how much of it is just me doing voices and doing little improv characters with my friends and family over the years, and how much of it is just, hey, you were born to do this. I'm not sure of the ratio on it, but it is work, even with the audio drama, because just depending on what the story is and the content of the story, you may have to bring a different energy. And then even with animation, is it animation for adults? Is it animation for teens? Is it animation for kids? Is it anime? There's different characteristics within each of those kind of like subgenres of animation. And the same thing with audiobooks and audio dramas. What type of vibe, what type of feeling are you looking for? So it's just being able to have like a good understanding of each of those disciplines in a sense, and being able to bring what you can to the table. But training is definitely very helpful. I've taken some classes and I've gotten some coaching, and it helps because it gives you a different perspective on how to do things. And it's somebody else that's able to listen in that has more experience to tell you, hey, this is where you need to improve, or this was good, but change your pacing. Like you're talking too fast, or you should slow down here. Or this is going to be more impactful if you're slow here and then speed up here, or vice versa. Or, bring the volume down on this point. Don't be at the same volume throughout this whole paragraph. It's a lot of different ways to convey different emotions that make it more impactful. So the training definitely helps, because also these are people that they've been in the industry. They know what casting directors and production houses and people in Hollywood and all these places, they know exactly what they're looking for and kind of what the trend is. And the trend is always changing. The type of animation that there was 5-10 years ago is very different from how it is now. The type of jokes, the way in which the characters express themselves, and it's changing. It's forever changing. So you need to continue to take classes and get coaching. Even the greats like Denzel, he still takes classes. So you can never, there's always learning to be done, I feel like, and you always want to train just to keep yourself on your toes. I feel like it's just a career where you need to constantly want to learn.
Yeah, you got to be on.
So I think it's a lot of learning into it. If you're a person that doesn't like to learn new things, it may be kind of tough
right.
for you. Yeah, it may be kind of tough for you because, I mean, even if let's say you're the best voiceover person for animation, but if you're going to play a new character, there may need to be things you need to research and learn about for that character's background so you can understand what to bring to the table, because the character is going to have a profile. Like I did research on a beatnik. I didn't know what a beatnik was, and I played a beatnik in a audio drama for Cerebral Cinema, and I had to go and research. And it was like these people in the 60s are kind of like, think of them like hipsters in a sense, but back in the 60s that they really loved jazz music. They were really intellectual, but they were like the guys at the coffee houses, and they would love the spoken word poetry and the people that would like snap their fingers and like they use terms like daddy-o, like those were the people. And I didn't know what a beatnik was, but I had to go research it. But I enjoyed researching and learning. I mean, I also come from a family on my mom's side where they're all educators, and my grandmother was a librarian, and reading was like huge for me growing up. So like that was already instilled in me. So I was like, oh, learning and researching, like that's cool. I like learning stuff. I like learning new stuff. So it definitely helps out with roles that I get, and then just trying to get better every day at what I'm doing.
Perfect. I love that story. Love that story, Smurf. Tell us, before we get ready to wrap up, just, I want you to just kind of share like your favorite, why animation, why you chose to stick with animation as your lane when it comes to like being in the voiceover industry. And then also some words of encouragement. Maybe there's somebody who's listening who's looking to go down this path and just needs a couple of points or starters. Oh, what is that? What am I talking about? That needs a couple of a few points in the right direction to get started is what I was trying to say.
Okay. So for me, animation and like video games is definitely huge for me, because that's, I mean, to me, it's like you're kind of immersed in your own little world. Like if I'm watching cartoons, or if I'm playing a video game, like anything outside of what's going on, besides what's going on in that story, like doesn't, is not going on. I'm totally like tuned into it. And it's almost kind of like just being able to escape into a different world. And even with recording, whether I'm recording something or I'm watching, I'm in that world. And sometimes it's just a good escape from everything that's going on. There's a lot of stuff that's going on nowadays, and sometimes you just want an escape from it.
Yeah,
and
for real.
For me, recording voiceover and then just watching different cartoons, like, or playing video games and just being immersed in the story from really good storytelling. I think it just goes back to that, honestly. And especially because like my parents, they read to me every night. I had to read books every summer, whatever was on the top, reading list. I had to read all those books.
Right. Get it done, right?
Just being immersed in just being immersed in the story. And I think there's a lot of great storytelling in animation. There's a lot of great storytelling in video games. Video games are like movies now.
Yeah.
And they're longer than movies. It's like hundreds of hours worth of stories.
Yes, I've played a couple.
The characters, like people, they get to control the outcomes. And they have control over it. And I think it's something that's always intrigued me. Ever since I was a little kid, I've been a cartoon fan, and like I never really grew out of it. Like I kind of kept my inner child when it came to that.
Yeah.
And that helps me. Like I've gotten older, but I never grew up, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, absolutely.
And
I'm right there with you.
So I still have my imagination. I still like, I'm grateful that like I'm able to find stuff funny. I laugh every day. That makes life very, that makes life easier.
Yeah.
It makes life easier when you can laugh and when you can smile and when you can just go off into your own little imagination world and just kind of, again, escape. I think I'm a creative person, so like it just clicks with me very well.
Yeah.
And for like all the adults that try to grow out of cartoons, I would say give it a chance. I guarantee there is something for you that's animated, and you will like it, and you will have fun, you will laugh, you will enjoy, and you'll learn not to take things too seriously, and learn to just kind of loosen up and have fun. That's kind of how I feel about animation and video games. That's what I really enjoy about it. It gives you a chance to relax, loosen up, and not take everything so serious. Because in the grand scheme of things, like, yes, there are things that are very serious and very, dark or whatever, but there's a lot of things that we can take and be a little bit more lighthearted about in general. And I think that's just going to help people in general. I think it's going to help relationships. I think that's going to help people in a lot of different avenues, pulling people out of dark places, and just allowing them to see, I guess, the sunshine through all the clouds. So
yeah, no, hey, that's a good explanation. Go ahead. Huh?
Oh, and then I guess if somebody is wanting to get into voiceover, I would say the first thing is look into some classes. I'm going to plug these guys because I've taken classes with them, but Real Voice LA, they were one of the first people I took classes with. They have some affordable classes, and you can take them online, and you can learn a lot. And you can learn a lot from people that have done stuff in Hollywood. I've taken classes with J.C. Carlack, and he played in Boss Baby. He plays the villain in the new Ratchet and Clank video game.
Yeah.
I've done coaching with Michael Ornstein, and he played characters in World of Warcraft. I've taken some improv. I've taken a beginner improv class with the Groundlings, and they're a very well-known like improv company. They have had Phil Lamar, if you know who Phil Lamar is. He's played Samurai Jack. He's played Hermes off of Futurama. He's played the Green Lantern from the Justice League. And then the other thing about voiceover, especially right now, they are trying to be more diverse, which, I mean, this almost seems like perfect timing. There's not a whole lot of Black voice actors, but there's starting to be more.
Yeah,
and they're definitely looking for more voice actors of color. So I'm glad to see that diversity is opening up. So they're opening up a lot more opportunities to a lot more people. So on Twitter, there's casting calls. If you go to castingcallclub.com, there's a bunch of open projects, paid and unpaid, that you can go and audition for and get your, put your toe in the water and see how you like it. You don't necessarily need the top microphone or anything like that starting out. There's people that have like a Blue Yeti microphone, and they get stuff done that they need to get done. And they book auditions, they book roles, and, as they continue to go into everything and get more experience, and they start upgrading their equipment once they figure out it's something that they like to do. But I would say just put yourself out there, step out on faith, and see how it goes. The worst thing that they can tell you is, no, we don't want you for the role, or they may not even reach back out to you. But I would say just keep going, keep auditioning, and once you book that role and you try it out, then you know how you feel about it, and you'll know if it's for you or if it's not for you. But I would say just step out on faith and try.
All right. Guys, you have heard it. Smurf Brown. Okay. Also known as Cleveland. No, joking. He's not not the official voice of Cleveland, but he can do a very good impression. Yeah, I love it. I love it, Smurf. I love what you're doing and fully support it. And as always, if there's anything that I can do, you can always reach out. And before we leave, please let the listeners know where we can find you online if anybody wants to connect on a project or just to follow you and your progress. Make sure you drop all your social handles.
So you can email me at smurfbrownvoices@gmail.com. My Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube is all under Smurf Brown Voices. And I think that's it. I also just posted my character demo reel, which is my first demo reel. It just got completed. So I posted that on all my social media, on my Twitter, it's on my TikTok, it's on my YouTube, it's on my Instagram. So definitely check it out. Hope you guys enjoy. And also, if you go to my TikTok and my Instagram, I have a lot of the little voiceover challenges that there are that a couple of guys have been doing. They post challenges out for voice actors, and I've done a few of them. So you can check some of that stuff out as well as some of my older characters that I did, like using the Animoji app off of my phone, just coming up with a voice for the different little Animojis. I have that on my Instagram as well. And it's just a lot of just like improv scripts. It's like nothing I wrote down. I just kind of thought of something off the top of my head.
That's how we have to do it sometimes.
Just put it out there. So hopefully you guys enjoy. And looking forward to engaging with all of you. And thank you again for having me on the show. I really, really appreciate it.
No doubt, Smurf. We appreciate speaking with you. You take care.
All right, you too.
Thanks for hanging out with us here on SOB. We hope this episode has been resourceful. If you'd like to check out the latest articles or follow Keetria's website updates, just log on to Keetria.com or follow her on Twitter at KEETRIA.